Hello, today I would like to talk to you about solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy is also known as solution-focused brief therapy because it is a brief, short-term approach that is usually accomplished in less than 5 sessions. The focus is on finding solutions to the client's problem and exceptions to their problem. The social worker's role is to help the client to find their strengths and their resources in ways that they can find solutions. It's focused on the future, and in this therapy, it is based upon theories from social work, psychology, and sociology. Some of the different theories that the assumptions come from for this therapy are the systems theory, which focuses on reciprocal interactions between a person and their environment, and how the thoughts, actions, and behaviors of one person can be reflected upon the behaviors of another person within the system. The family system theory focuses on how behavior and thoughts can be reflected upon what is learned in their family of origin. The cognitive theory, which focuses on schemas and habits of thinking, and how this can have an effect on the way that a person thinks. Then the communication theory, which focuses on language and word clarity. And the crisis intervention theory, which focuses on providing intervention for a person who is in need of immediate relief. The focus here is on here and now, and it is time limited. There are also principles from brief therapy, which focus on finding the most pressing concerns and how the client's problem formation should be done with them and how they should have a part in the goal setting and intervention. This also focuses on having a strengths orientation. And language is a very important component within solution-focused therapy, as there should be clarity of what is being said, and the social worker should also focus on their language and the way that it can have an effect on the client. Solution talk is one form of language that should be used to de-emphasize problem talk and to help the client to focus on solutions instead. The hope and expectations are also very important because hope can help to bring about positive changes, and hopeful expectations help people to see different things that can come about. The assumptions of this therapy are that people want to change, that they are suggestible, and that they have the capability to develop new and existing resources to solve their problems. And the goals of the intervention are to develop concrete solutions to the problem, to find exceptions to the problem, to find solutions by strengths and resources that are available to them, and to find ways to act and think differently. In the social worker-client relationship, the social worker is to build an alliance with the client, and this is done by not reformulating their perspective and accepting them the way that they bring about their problems. The social worker shouldn't portray that they have special knowledge to solve problems, but that they want to work on desired solutions. The assessment and intervention stages of the solution-focused therapy are somewhat combined, and it's difficult to distinguish between the two, but there are a lot of different components that can be used. One of those being the pre-session change, where you can ask the client to see if they've noticed any difference between when they first made the appointment and when they're there now. You can ask them what's different or what's better. Focus on the future and the present. Ask them to look at their strengths by asking strengths-oriented questions. You can explore exceptions to see what is different when the problem isn't around. And if they're having trouble with this, then you can use coping questions which can focus on how do they keep things from getting worse. And refraining comments can be used to focus on what the positive aspects of their behavior may be. And you can externalize the problem by putting it outside instead of within the person. And compliments can be used to focus on their past success and their strengths that they have so far. And scaling questions, which is an important part of this therapy, where you ask the client to rate on a scale from 1 to 10 where they think they currently are as far as their motivation to work on the problem. And the most important component is the miracle question, where you ask the client to close their eyes and imagine that they're going to sleep tonight, and while they're asleep, a miracle happens. And they don't realize that this miracle has occurred, but when they wake up in the morning, you want for them to explain to you what may be different or how they would notice that a miracle has occurred. This can allow for a lot of exploration into things that they may have not previously looked at before. And then when developing goals, you want to make sure that the client is the expert in this and that you work together to develop concrete goals that can be measured so you can see when they have been completed. And if needed, you can break these down into discrete units so it will be easier for the client to focus on. There are a couple of homework assignments that can be used at the end of the sessions. One of those is a formula first session task, and this is used in the initial session. And you will ask the client to monitor changes that are happening in their life and what they want to see continue. And then they will come back in the next session and report what they have found to you. Another homework assignment is called a surprise task, and you can ask the client to do something over the next week that will surprise someone who is involved with the problem. And in the next sessions, you want to check their progress and see where they're currently at. And this can be done by asking them to rank on a scale of 1 to 10 where they feel they are as far as reaching their goals. You can ask them to see what's better, what they have learned, and what they still want to improve upon. And then the ending. Well, the ending should be focused on from the very beginning because it is such a short process and everything happens so quickly. Once goals have been reached, then new goals can be developed or the intervention can end. So in the ending, the focus is on helping them to see the changes that they made and how they are going to continue this behavior, as well as how they can build upon desired solutions in the future. And you want to make sure that the client and the therapist are on the same page, so it doesn't seem that the therapist thinks that the session is over and that the goals have been reached, and the client may not have this same perception. In the next portion of this video, we will be doing a role play utilizing solution-focused therapy. This is the first session, and the client and therapist are meeting for the first time. The client is a 23-year-old female. She is a single mother, and she's working and going to school. She's experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety, and she has developed some drinking problems because of her stress that she's been experiencing. So we will see what happens in the next session. Hello, my name is Kelly, and I'm the social worker that will be working with you today. What would you like to be called?
Karen is fine, thank you.
Okay, Karen. Well, it's nice to meet you, and I hope that you had a safe trip in and you were able to find everything okay.
I did. I made it here fine, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, I would first like to start by informing you about confidentiality and that everything that we talk about in the sessions will be held completely confidential unless there is instances of reports of harm against yourself or others upon which I will be mandated to report. Is that okay with you?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start by getting to know a little bit about you and what brings you in to see me today.
Well, I'm a mother of a 5-year-old daughter. I'm working part-time. I'm also in college. Um, and I've been experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety related to all my responsibilities. I'm trying to raise my child, go to work, go to school, and I found myself being overwhelmed trying to make sure all that stuff gets done. And I've just not been able to accomplish anything. I just don't know what to do.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot going on and a lot of different roles that you're trying to fulfill. And I can see how you're feeling overwhelmed by being a mother, a student, and an employee all at once. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, I have so much going on in my life. It just seems that I can't get control over all of these things at once.
Okay. Well, it sounds very stressful and it's probably difficult for one person to handle. Do you have anyone to support you or any help from anyone?
Yes, my mother's a great help for me a lot of times. She's actually the one that suggested that I come and see you today. She helps me take care of my daughter, but lately she started on this rant, um, fussing and arguing with me, saying that she's not going to help me anymore if I don't stop drinking alcohol. Um, you know, I do drink, and I drink because I can't find any other way to help me relieve stress from all the pressure that I have related to school and work, and trying to raise my daughter, and getting all that stuff done on time.
Okay, well, I can see that you do have some sort of support there, and your mother has been helping you in the past, but you're reporting that she is not wanting to help you anymore because of your drinking. How often are you drinking?
Well, here lately, because I've had a lot of stress and anxiety, I've been drinking every night. As I mentioned, I drink to help relieve stress. When I get home, I put my daughter to bed. Um, After being at work and school all day, I just need something to help me relax at night. I try to get my schoolwork done, but when I get home and I start drinking, it's just hard for me to stop.
Okay, well, you've mentioned quite a few different problems here, and you seem to have a lot of different things going on. It may be easier for us if we just focused on one problem at a time. So, what do you think would be the most pressing concern, and what would you like to focus on first in our session?
Well, my drinking is coming from the stress of all of my other responsibilities. I guess that's the main issue that I need to work on. Like I said, my mom said she wouldn't help me take care of my daughter anymore if I didn't stop drinking alcohol, and I really need her help.
Okay, well, we can focus on the drinking to begin with, and then if you want to focus on some other problems later on, we can do that.
That sounds good.
Okay, well, now that we have a focus, has anything changed since you first made this appointment and now?
Yeah, I guess I've started cutting back on drinking, not drinking as much, as I realized that it's becoming an issue. It's affecting the relationship that I have with my mom. I didn't drink as much last night, and I was actually able to get some assignments completed.
Oh, wow, well, that's great. You've already started making an initiative and recognizing the change that you want to have. So far, how does this change make you feel?
Well, I guess I feel better. I wasn't as tired this morning as I was, and I just had a better day.
Okay, well, you mentioned a better day and you feel better. Well, what would you say? How do you feel better? What is better about it?
Well, I didn't wake up with a headache, for one. I wasn't as rushed as I normally am in the mornings trying to get out the door. So I had a little bit of extra time with my daughter, and I really enjoyed that. Um, and because I felt like I had extra time, I was able to get some assignments completed, and that was a big relief.
Okay, so you got some assignments completed, you spent some more time with your daughter, and you just weren't so rushed. And would you like to see these changes continue?
Yes, it would be nice if it was like that most all of the time. I would enjoy that.
Okay, well, to try to figure out where you are right now, I would like to ask you on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being the worst and 10 being the best, how would you rate your willingness to resolve this issue right now?
That's a good question. I would probably rank myself about an 8.
Okay, well, an 8 is good. Why do you think you're at an 8 and not higher or lower?
Well, I'm starting to realize that I do feel better when I don't drink as much, and I want to change. But at times, it's the only way that I can find a way to relieve stress is, and comfort is in drinking alcohol.
Okay, well, what do you think a 10 would look like for you? The
Well,
best you could be.
well, if I reach a 10, I wouldn't be drinking anymore, of course. My mom would be helping me take care of my daughter, which would obviously help relieve some stress related to my school work and working outside of the home.
Okay, so where would you like to be whenever you finish meeting with me, and what would you like to accomplish? How far would you be?
I would really like to see myself get to a 10, not only for my mom, but for myself and my daughter as well.
Okay, well, it's great you've been able to see the advantages and the disadvantages of
Mhm.
the problem.
Mhm.
What do you think that it will take for you to get to a 10?
Um, well, I guess I would have to find another way to relieve stress, because so that I could stop drinking. I don't really have another solution right now, um, because at times it's the only thing that makes me feel better.
Okay, well, you mentioned at times. Can you explain to me what's happening in the other times when you're not drinking in other ways?
Well, I feel better when I'm out hanging out with my friends. They listen to me, and it helps to make me feel not as stressed out.
Okay, so your friends are another form of support, and you're able to hang out with them. You don't feel as overwhelmed, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And I wish I could hang out with them more, but right now it doesn't seem to be very possible. They have busy schedules as well. Um, Sometimes when I am hanging out with them, we start to drink as well. And while I feel better at the time, I end up kind of getting in the same situation and feeling the same way, feeling bad the next day. Um, the next morning, not being able to get very much schoolwork or work accomplished.
Okay, so you're hanging out with your friends and you're enjoying it, but sometimes then you start drinking there too, and then you end up in the same predicament.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cycle. It just continues.
Okay, well, it's great that you're able to recognize this and realize where your problems have been coming from, and you see what you want to focus on, and I can see that you've been making some progress. Um, I would like to ask you a kind of a strange question. It's called a miracle question, and I just want you to close your eyes and to imagine that you're going to sleep tonight, and then while you're asleep, a miracle happens. And when you wake up in the morning, you don't realize that the miracle has happened, but what would you notice that would be different for you?
Um, well, I would wake up without a headache, and I would feel better. I wouldn't be as rushed since I could get up earlier. My mom would be nicer to me since I wouldn't have been drinking the night before. I would feel like I had control over my life, um, and I would be able to make it to work and school on time. I'd be able to take care of my daughter, and my mom would be helping me out. I would be caught up on all of my schoolwork, and my work stress would be gone. I would not need to drink, and I would have friends that were supportive of me not drinking.
Okay, wow, well, it sounds like a lot of things would be different for you,
Mhm.
and there would be a lot of changes, and you would feel better, and your mom wouldn't be mad at you, and your friends would support you, and you would have control over your life.
Mhm.
You mentioned about your mom, that she would be nicer to you. How do you think that she would be nicer to you?
Well, she wouldn't be yelling at me anymore, and maybe then we would be able to have a decent conversation.
Okay, well, this is important to you.
Yes, I really want the relationship with my mother to be better, and I need to stop drinking in order for that to happen.
Okay, well, it's great that you're able to recognize um, what you want to focus on, and you've been trying to find some solutions to your changes. And what I've been noticing in the answers to your miracle question is that most of these do all revolve around alcohol. Have you been noticing that?
Yes, I'm realizing that all of my problems come back to drinking, and I just need to work on finding a way to relieve my stress without drinking.
Okay, well, I think that we have made a lot of progress today, and I hope that you have been able to see some things that you would like to focus on. And I would like to ask you to do something during the week. If you would, just observe things in your life that you would like to continue, and just jot these down and bring them back to me so that we can talk about them next week. And I also would like to ask you to do a surprise for your mother, and do something that would surprise her that she wouldn't be expecting in a positive manner.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, so you think that's something you can work on?
Yes.
Okay, well, I hope that things have gone well and that you've started to realize some things. And do you have any questions or any concerns?
No, I don't. This has been very helpful, and I really think I can handle this, and my mom may see a difference in me. So I look forward to it.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back. I would now like to start focusing on some of the strengths as well as some of the limitations of using solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy strengths are that it is brief, it doesn't take much time, it's task-oriented, it's strengths-oriented, and allows the client to see what their strengths are as well as resources that they have available. It doesn't dwell on the problem and allows the client to see solutions instead. There's not a predetermined order of what happens next, and it just flows with the conversation. The client's words are used so that the therapist is not interpreting what they're saying, and it's simplifying their life by focusing on what they think is important, as well as not making assumptions about their thoughts, feelings, behaviors, strengths, or weaknesses, and allowing the client to be the expert. There are also some limitations to solution-focused therapy. It's not beneficial with all clients. It may deny them the opportunity to focus on certain problems or emotions. It could discourage them from sharing important information because of the de-emphasis on problem talk. It's quick and there's not much time for elaboration. It can also make the client not take responsibility for their actions because of the de-emphasis on problem talk and externalizing the problem. There's not much focus on social justice unless the client brings this up as their issue, and is sometimes seen as being superficial or naive. I would now like to focus on the strengths and weaknesses that I've seen within myself in the first part of the video. Well, as a strength, I think that I was able to explain the basic components pretty well. I went into the assessment and the intervention. I talked about the social worker and client relationship. I focused on examples of homework and how to end the sessions. However, there were some things that I could have done differently. I don't think that I gave enough explanation or examples when explaining some of these things. For example, I talked about how strengths-oriented questions were beneficial to use, but I didn't elaborate on what this is or provide examples of what this would look like. I also missed one of the theories while discussing the origins of solution-focused therapy, which is the social constructivism theory. I think that I could have focused a little more on goals and how these are developed, and I didn't address how to encourage the client to think or act differently. The last thing that I would like to talk about are my strengths and weaknesses of doing the role play. As my strengths, I feel that I did focus on the most important components of solution-focused therapy. I asked pre-session change questions. I explored for exceptions. I used reframing comments and asked what was better. I also focused on the most pressing concerns. I used scaling questions and the miracle question, as well as giving homework assignments of the formula first session task and the surprise task as well. However, there were a lot of things that I could have done differently. One of those things being that I felt that I focused too much on the problem and the past at times. I asked the client at one time to focus on how often she had been drinking, and that was bringing the focus back to the problem rather than the solutions. I also don't think that I did that well with the goals. I didn't clearly identify what the goals were and how they were going to be accomplished. I think that the session was a little unorganized and I tended to jump from one thing to another. I think that I also need to work on my body language and my facial expressions and my posture. There were also some instances where I was reframing what the client was saying instead of using the client's own words. I did use the scaling question and the miracle question, but I don't know that I used them at the appropriate time. I also did not use the miracle question to the best of my advantage. I should have elaborated a lot more on all of the different things that the client was saying during this time. I should have helped them to focus and to see in more detailed ways what they wanted to work on. Overall, I feel like this has been a great learning experience for me. I have been able to see some of my strengths as well as areas that I need to improve upon when trying to apply this therapy in the future. I hope that you have been able to learn something from this video as much as I have, and I just want to say thank you.